Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 108. I'm doing the thing. Recorded live Sunday, October 6th, 2024, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I am Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief over at iTechGear.org, and joining us this week back from the many places that he went.
Yes.
Doing the thing.
He can't even
Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself while you're doing the thing.
Thank you.
I'm just
Mr.
saying.
Chris Gavula, former contributing editor at Gear Diary and Pocket, now, of course, editor over here at iTechGear.org. Mr. Chris Gavula, how are you, sir?
Glad to be back. Glad to
Are
be
your
back.
arms not as tired as they were?
And glad to be doing the thing, apparently. So there we go.
Yes. Fabulous. Welcome. Glad to have you back. Also joining us this week, former contributing writer at Gear Diary and currently the host at the Linux Link Tech Show and Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine. I'm currently training for my 5K and running a 5K. Seems like every Sunday.
Nice.
I've been running 5Ks on the treadmill, and I'm trying to get my speeds up because I need to meet that race minimum.
Awesome.
Or they kick me to the sidewalk. So
Sweet.
So I should be able to do that, but otherwise it's been a fantastic weekend full of coffee and food trucks.
Nice. Of course, also editor here at iTechGear.org, and glad that you are. We've got some articles for you coming up. Yes,
eventually. Yes.
So, well, eventually would rather be sooner than later. So
yeah, I'm hoping so.
Yeah. Awesome. And also, last but never ever least, the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications, and of course, editor here also at iTechGear.org, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, and I know we're all a little bit remiss in articles, but we'll get caught up, buddy. I promise. It's I don't know. It's kind of been a down week for me, but then again, I start thinking about all those suffering the wrath of Hurricane Helena's destruction.
Oh man,
here in Tennessee and other neighboring states, and my issues become very insignificant very quickly.
I know it, and it's
our
so bad.
From all of us, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of the folks who were impacted by this terrible,
horrible storm. They're saying it's on the same level as Katrina was back in 2005. So in almost 20 years, here's another one. It's just horrible, the amount of damage.
If you looked at the helicopter footage of I-40 outside of Asheville, North Carolina, it's going to be years before that road is open fully again. It's just, it'll be open one lane, but way. But
now, according to Google, it says September 2025, but that's according to Google, not according to both.
Well, I read that too, Joel, but didn't they say along with that, that's when they'll let traffic go two ways on it, but the two ways will be limited to 2 lanes, not 4.
Probably, yeah.
Now, it's horrible. $100 billion worth of damage up there. Oh,
yeah, no, it's bad.
That's almost as much money as you have, Chris.
And they're not doing the thing. So
they're not doing the thing.
But you know what is doing the thing? Apparently, and who is Larry? Because he's got the iPhone 16 Pro in the house. So what's going on, Larry? Tell us about the new toys.
Well, first of all, I'm going to surprise you all. You know me, I'm gonna upgrade phones every year. I don't care if I need to or not. It's just what I do.
Right.
Sometimes it's kind of like that box of chocolates thing. Sometimes I'm rewarded with a boatload of neat new features. Sometimes I'm not. This is one of those not years.
Really?
Yep. Aside from the new, if you're coming from a 15 Pro anything, aside from the new camera control button, I see very little difference. Yep, they've tweaked the camera a tiny bit. They've hyped it up to make it sound better, but it's really not. Read the fine print. Is it the best camera you can get on a phone? Yeah, arguably yes, but
it won the test, but yeah,
only by a very, very tiny margin, and maybe even not then, depending on your use case with a camera or your preferred features. But For instance, if you're into editing pictures on your phone, you better go buy a Pixel Pro because the iPhone doesn't do it nearly as good as the Pixel. But all this is valid this year. It was valid last year. It'll be the same thing next year. The smaller Pro I got is a whopping 0.2-inch larger display, corner to corner, and it does, and it has literally no bezel. So if you're looking for something a little bit bigger with the same form factor, that's your phone. Overall, it doesn't seem to be bigger, but I think the same holds true with the Pro Max. It's a little bit
It
bigger
is. That's
factor.
what I heard, yeah.
They have tweaked the macro photography a little bit and doubled. Yeah, get this one, boys and girls. They have doubled the frames per second when you're watching a 4K video in Dolby. Here's my thought about that. If you can tell the difference between any aspect of a movie on a 6-inch display, you missed your calling. You need to have been an ocular surgeon.
Didn't they also improve the rate of recording for video?
I didn't read that. They may well have. I
think they did. I think they did
too.
Yeah.
So
but
I mean,
bottom line,
those numbers are getting real high. Yeah. So
for me, the elephant in the upgrade room here is truly the camera control button.
Sure.
And even after playing with this for a couple of days, I'm prone to think even it's not that big a thing. I thought before I got the phone, oh boy, I get to use my little forefinger and click this button just like I do on my 35mm. Not true. My finger has been touching that white button to set that camera off for 15 years, and that's where it goes still.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just
I kind of like it because I don't like taking my hand off to hit the white button on the screen. That's always annoyed me.
I'm getting used to it. It's just it's a standout example of when you use something that's ingrained with
the
it.
problem is, and unfortunately, I'm gonna grab my phone and we're all on camera and we only publish an audio only, but you're holding your phone with the one hand and you've got your thumb available to tap the white button. You tweak and whatever with you pinch and unpinch with your other hand the screen, get exactly what you want, get it arranged, and then you tap the button, right? Then you tap the button with the white button with your thumb. Well, now you don't do that. You hold it like a regular camera and you tap the button that's on the top edge, right?
Right. But they make such a big deal about the improvements when you're watching movies and videos, and I don't know about it. I don't know. If I'm looking at YouTube or watching a movie, I have an iPad in my hand.
That's what I'm doing with you, Larry.
I've got a bigger screen. Right. I'm on a bigger screen.
Me too.
But there is one kind of big thing coming out. I think it released today. We read iOS 18.1, the next release version for iOS and iPadOS. We're all hoping that it's going to have Siri gain her master's degree with her doctorate yet to come later next year.
I don't think the Siri changes were much in the 18.1 release. I think we were going to see it in either 18.2 or 18.4.
I think it's going to be 2 or 4 because honestly,
it's not an 18.1.
Just basic AI, right? And that's it.
I would say, however, having said that, I think that under 18.1, Siri is a little better, but I wouldn't. I think between you and I think the normal use of it, you wouldn't notice it. It's just little things at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right.
I don't know. That's about it. I don't know. You guys might think differently, but if you get the phone and think differently and think it's just the end-all phone, tell me about it because I don't see it.
But those who want 18.1, it's coming in a few weeks, right on the 28th.
Right. So you've got less than 3 weeks.
Then maybe with the
about
AI, I might change my mind and the feature set will be.
It's little things, but there are some little things in 18.1 that are nice. I will say that.
The physical device is just not that compelling.
Well, Apple's basic mode of operation has always been evolutionary and not revolutionary, right?
For a long time.
For at least the last 25 years, for
Yeah,
at
Well,
least the last 25
we've
years.
occasionally seen a revolutionary kind of jump, but in general, yes, I would
Well,
agree.
the introduction of the iPhone in and of itself was a
Well,
revolutionary.
and the iPhone 10 was a big change in design, and
Mhm.
we've seen something a couple of times.
Right.
You know, Apple was their own best teacher in this. When they released Lisa, it was revolutionary and it kicked them right square in the
It
butt.
kicked them right. It sure did.
Right in the teeth.
People went. What do we want
for
that
ten,
for?
not for $10,000, Steve. No,
Said, no thanks.
you know,
No.
the interesting thing though that I mean, you don't have grandkids in town, right, Larry?
I do not. No.
All right.
I have a lot of grandkids though.
I have grandkids in town, and I'm constantly, my wife and I are constantly with the pictures, right? Constantly, the fingers constantly up and down, right?
Yep.
Constantly taking the pictures, hitting the shutter. And I have a feeling that this thing would be a really huge benefit for both of us.
Yeah.
But we're waiting until at least next calendar, the end of the year, or near the beginning of the year, before we do anything.
Yeah.
So we're,
I mean, I
too.
may change my mind, but I'm not a huge
Yeah.
picture taker anymore. I used to be, but I'm just
right,
not.
right.
Okay.
But
But it's a good phone. There's no
All right,
doubt.
so-
I mean,
well,
So-
so is the 16 series, versus the Pro better?
well, we're going to talk about that later. I
Actually,
promise.
now we're talking about it
Actually,
now.
Oh,
next.
we are? Oh,
We're
we
talking about it
changed.
now, Larry.
Well then,
Here we
yeah.
are. Wow.
Hello. I thought we've had a cut in the show.
No,
No.
no.
You
So
know, I'll tell you what, I honestly think personally there are only two valid reasons to buy a Pro this year over the basic 16 this year,
okay,
Okay.
given that Apple has truly changed the iPhone 16 and given it nearly all of the features, nearly as the 16 Pro. The one that was the deal breaker for me, I would have gotten a 16 because I don't need that ball buster camera. I just don't. But what I've learned I cannot live without, the elephant again in the room, is the ProMotion display. Once you've done anything on a phone with 120 hertz display, you will never, ever, not if you can help it, go back intentionally to
Yeah.
60 hertz, period. You're just never going to do it. I don't care if you're half blind. It's so much better.
It's smoother. It's really
it's,
It's
well,
just
it's
just
a lot
like
easier
butter.
on the eyes, right? It's a
It's
lot
like
easier
butter.
on the eyes. It doesn't hurt as much when you've been watching your phone or looking at your phone for a great deal of time. You're not going to get the eye strain.
See,
Right.
that and that's, to me, that's like, I think in the whole Pixel line 120, I thought,
mixed bag. I think it was
Yeah.
a mixed bag. Joel, I could be wrong, but I thought the Pro was and the base was not.
let me
I
let
thought.
me look at the regular.
Could be
I
wrong.
know
I
the
could-
Pro is and the Pro XL is, but let me look at the
Right.
regular one. Because to me, I'm like, well, and this is a problem Apple
And-
particularly has with all their phones is these are things, to me, it's like, how, I mean, can it be that much more to have the 120 hertz? I don't know. I can't say, but
If you've got younger eyes, probably not. If you're a little bit older, you're 40
My
or
vision
older.
is horrible. I mean, literally, it's terrible.
Mhm.
And I can really tell the difference. So I
Well,
can't imagine anybody else.
Like I was saying, if you're younger with a better set of eyeballs,
see.
Right.
younger set at least, then I'm thinking
Actually, yeah,
you're
the
probably
Pixel
all right.
The
Go ahead.
Pixel 9 has a 120 hertz display too.
Okay.
Well, the
Okay.
Pixel 6 had it.
Yep.
Mine did.
Okay.
Yep.
Pro.
So I mean, if Google can do it, why in the heck is Apple not doing it on all their phones? Because it doesn't, there's other things they can charge you more for.
Well, probably because there needs to be some line
It's got to be a
in between the
differentiating
two
feature.
models, right? The Pro and the regular one. There's got to be some reason why you would go for the Pro versus not the Pro, right?
I think that's why they've left this one untouched in the basic phone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it may be that, yeah, you've got most of the camera upgrades. You've got the camera button. You've got just about everything else that you would have on the Pro, except the Pro processor, as well as the screen.
Keep
right?
in mind the base model is $400 cheaper. It's not like
No.
$50 cheaper.
No, that's a lot of
No.
money.
No, it's a lot.
So-
Well, it's probably the processor over the screen, but I mean,
Well, true.
But still, that the point is that's just another thing in the
well,
mix,
of
I
course,
think.
it's just another thing, you know.
All right.
So yeah, so
Anyway,
you can, there are reasons. Make sure you know what your use case is going to be. Make certain that you know what you want and what you're buying, right?
There you go.
true.
Right.
So
There you
True.
go.
so
Very
you
much
start
so.
off $400 cheaper with the one than the
Yeah.
other. So anyway, so going to move us to our mobile Linux segment at this point. The big thing here that at least from my perspective, and
Mm.
I saw this and it made me stop and scratch my head a little bit. And I don't understand what's going on here. I really don't. Qualcomm had, or was it Qualcomm or was it Arm Holdings?
It was Arm Holdings, I
Arm
think.
Holdings. All right. Anyway,
Mhm.
Arm Holdings made a offer to Intel to buy them outright. I think the deal was stock and cash and maybe some pixie dust or something else. But
Mm.
Intel took about a week or so, and they flat out rejected the offer.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, because as part of their cost cutting and restructuring efforts, they laid off 15,000 people. All right.
You guys
So-
switched segments already?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome to the iTechGear Weekly.
I am not a financial guru at all, but I don't see why they didn't take that deal. I really don't.
I remember
Yeah.
we had been talking about this, and you had said in some of the emails that we were passing back and forth that if you were a shareholder, you'd be pissed. You would
Yeah,
just
I would.
flat out be absolutely
I would
angry.
be looking for somewhere else to pull my money out and put it in something else.
Well, if I were you, I might actually contact a lawyer and file a suit and make them reconsider, or at least
I don't know if you can do that.
depending on
or
the
not.
size of the holding that you had.
Mm-hmm.
If
So
you could show that there was negative impact to you, then maybe you could. But yeah.
Well,
there's the potential impact. I mean, again, depending on the size of the holding. I
Yeah,
have one
right.
share and one vote, then no,
Yeah,
it's not gonna
right.
go anywhere, right? But if
Yeah,
I
true enough.
if I'm Rupert Murdoch, right? And I've got a whole bunch of money in Intel, maybe, I've got some weight here. I just don't see this as being
A good example. I don't think Warren Buffett, who invests a lot in tech, I don't think he has any money, any holdings at all in
Mhm.
Intel. But if he did, I would bet he would probably would have been making some kind of noise.
right. Now, ARM isn't also exactly. I mean, there's got to be some. They
Something
have
we
to
don't
be
know.
realistic. I mean, what are they going to do that's going to justify them in rejecting not only one but two
Well-
offers? Because ARM wasn't the only one. Qualcomm actually did express interest in purchasing
Yeah.
Intel's product.
They did,
So,
yeah.
so keep in mind that Intel has basically two companies. They have a product company that sells chips for computers, and they have a
Mhm.
manufacturing company. And that manufacturing company is where they're really having problems because
right.
they can't get down to those smaller die sizes. and
Processors,
Not well,
whatnot.
not to mention the fact they're currently trying to build Ohio 1, which is way behind.
Well, that
Yeah.
facility, with the manufacturing facility there, right?
Mhm, correct. Yeah, they were originally supposed to be up and running by February next year, but they're now forecasting it between 2027 and 2028.
Yeah, I have to wonder if they're ever going to do it at all. I mean, after all, they just laid
Yeah.
off 15,000 people. What do they need a
Yeah,
facility
that's
for?
kind of what that article I just put
Yeah.
in the chat is about.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
right?
I
I
mean-
mean, you got to wonder. I mean, what are you doing building another facility when you're getting rid of a bunch of people?
Yeah,
Right,
so,
well,
and it also could depend on
15,000 people.
Well, not
Yeah.
to mention the fact, maybe, I mean, Intel, which is like the chip, that's like what, the only company that's US based that makes chips. You know, and they don't even make them all here.
I think
It could
TSMC
be a
has some
big enough
facilities
thing
here,
where the
though.
federal, well, the thing
Oh.
is, it could be a big enough thing where the federal government might step in and say, hey, we'll bail you out like they did with GM. But especially since the CHIPS Act is primarily what was responsible for the start of Ohio One. So
Right. Well, all right. So part of all of this is that you had said a little earlier, Chris, that there are two basic divisions here.
Yeah.
There's the product division and then the manufacturing division, right? It's part of this whole restructuring that they are in fact
And they
doing.
want to separate them. They want to bring them
They
apart.
want they want to
Yeah.
make them they want to make that separation a lot more defined so that
Yeah.
if the product group wants to go off and say work with TSMC or some other chip manufacturer, they can do that. All right.
Yep.
Which I don't know how good of
I don't
an
even
idea
know what
that
that
is
would
for
do.
the
Yeah.
manufacturing
Well,
portion of the company. But
I'm not even. I was going to say, forget what it would do to the manufacturing portion of the company. I think long term, it's going to have a negative impact on all aspects of the company because
Mhm.
all of a sudden they lose that end to end ability. They
Mhm.
lose that. So
Right.
How many
that creates
employees
challenges.
does Intel have total? Do you know? Anybody know?
15,000 less.
Well, you know where I was actually where I was going.
Thanks,
Where I
Chris.
was going with that. That's not peanuts. 15,000 people. No, I mean it's probably a wrong number, but let's say they make 150,000 a year each. That's
Right.
$2 billion plus a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
right.
Agree.
Mhm.
They're gonna have, I don't know.
Daddy wants to keep his bonus, you know.
Mhm.
So
The boardroom.
as of 2023, Intel has approximately 125,000 employees.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just shy. 15,000 less now, but
Right.
just saying.
That was the end of
So-
2023 they had that.
Right.
So,
Right. So there's about
and that's a little less than they had in 2022. They had
Uh,
dropped some people between 2022
right.
and 2023.
right,
So
but
there
the
you go.
long and the short of it is they've got about $1.24.
That's about it. So
Yeah.
that 15,000, that's more than 10% of your population right there. So
Yeah.
not good.
No.
Okay.
No, it's
So I don't
not.
know. So I'm with you. Going back to your original premise, why on earth would they not even consider?
This is what
mean,
I'm saying.
Why not even consider it or at least talk
Mhm.
about it?
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
If
stockholders can't be
if
happy.
they were making more money and doing more things, I could maybe understand it. But they're tanking in a lot of places. They really
Mhm.
are.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they haven't been able to get smaller than 5 nanometers. And while 5 nanometers is small, 3 nanometers is smaller and it's also cooler. And,
Right.
and they're faster.
The people doing 3 are working on 2.
Yeah,
Yep.
they
Yeah.
are.
Mhm.
All right. And Intel's still stuck at 5, and they've been stuck at 5 for a while, a while. So,
They may be waiting to see how their new chips that are just coming out now are doing. But again, they're still not the smaller
No.
platforms that they wanted. So
no.
we'll see.
So we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move us forward here in the mobile Linux segment.
Okay.
And just it's interesting. We said that Intel cut 15% of or 15,000 workers, just a bit more than 10%,
Mhm.
right? Apparently 91% of all polled Amazon workers are unhappy with the mandate to return to office.
Yep.
Which I'm certain that those 15,000 displaced employees from Intel wouldn't have any problem with at this point.
Nope.
I'm just
no
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then here's goes like y'all know I work from home and I have for 10 years now. Over
Mhm.
that actually. And my company has always taken the stance. Now they have kind of changed a little bit. If you live near one of our offices, they do want you to go in, but you don't have to go in every day. And that's kind of what Amazon's wanting here is they're currently on what a 3-day in-office deal, I think, or something like that.
Well,
But they want them in all the time now.
right. Most companies that were doing hybrid are saying, hey, Monday and Friday, you're at home. Enjoy your quote unquote longer weekend. Enjoy your reduced driving time over, at the end and the beginning of your week. And, we want you in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The company that I'm working for currently has the same kind of mandate, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. If you look at the article from the Register that we're citing here in the show notes, there's a really interesting quote from one of the employees that that commented on what's going on. This person says, RTO blanket policy is crazy, particularly for those of us who are hired remote and
Right.
far from an office. All right.
Mhm.
And far from an office. I have kids and family here, so I'm unwilling to relocate.
So
Even if I didn't, there's too great a risk that I'd be laid off in 6 months. So why
Yep.
risk a move? Which is a
So,
perfect.
yeah.
But there's a
Perfect.
lot of those Amazon workers that weren't hired remotely,
But
and then they got to go to work remotely during the pandemic. I have a
But-
relative, and I
yeah.
talked to him.
Right.
No names, but a
But here's the-
relative who works for Amazon. He was hired at a pretty decent salary to work in the office.
Right.
They actually almost forced him to go home with the pandemic, and
Mhm.
things just kept working out, and he stayed home. But now it's either back to the office or don't come back. He's going back. He's not stupid, but I mean,
Yeah.
No, and we've talked about
we
this a number
talked
of
about
times
this
on
couple
the
years
show.
ago.
We've been talking about this, and we
Yeah.
come to the same conclusion. Here's the thing, though: if the thing that Chris mentioned, these people that were hired during remote, again, it depends on under what terms were you hired. The
It
fact
might
that you
say
were
when the
remote,
pandemic's over, coming back,
correct,
right? Whatever.
and it might say nothing, in which case they can make you work wherever they want because they didn't guarantee you would be working remotely forever and ever.
Sure.
Unless they guaranteed you or promised you that, you're not entitled to it.
So only if they said, "Here's your new remote job, and by the way, you can stay there forever," then you got a case.
Then you got a
Otherwise-
case.
Well, even
otherwise, no.
still, there's always going to be some kind of caveat in an employment agreement that says, these terms of your
And terms
employment are subject
as needed
are
or something like
subject to
that. Yeah.
change at our discretion,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Not yours, but ours,
Well,
and we can
right.
make you
Again,
do just about anything we want you to do if you want to keep working for
up
us.
until the
Right.
up until the early 80s, there was a relationship between the employee and the employer that was kind of, you were
They
considered
cared.
on a track. Everybody
cared.
cared. And the employees cared, and the employer cared.
Right.
That went away. And once
Long
that
time
went
ago.
away, a long time ago, once that went away, we went to, what we call right to work, which is really a misnomer. But when we went to that kind of notion, guess what, kids? You can leave the company can leave you. That's how it is now.
At will employment. Yes.
At will.
Mhm.
Everything's at will. That's how it is
Mhm.
now. If you don't
Right.
like it, don't work there.
Yeah. Even
That's,
if
that's what it comes down to.
I
you
don't
don't
think
like
there
it,
are
don't
too many
work there.
companies that are like Joel's company, and I think you're very fortunate, Joel, to have a
Yep.
Yeah.
company that affords you the opportunity to do what you
Yep.
do and not have to come to work. But they know they're getting your best work where you are right this minute.
Right. Well, and here's the other side of that too. One of the primary is that they can pull people that know their products is from higher ed institutions themselves. All right.
Right.
You're not gonna like one of the problems my boss is finding is they want her to hire a lot from LAC. Well, the problem is the folks from LAC don't know our product because our product is not being used in Latin America. There's very, very few schools
Right.
that have our product.
Mhm.
So everyone we hire comes in fresh as a daisy. They might have a comp sci degree, or they might have some experience with some other IT stuff, but they don't have experience with our product. Which is the same problem we have when we hire resources in Bangalore. Everyone that we hire in Bangalore has to be trained up on our product to be on our support team.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and it's very difficult for us. Like we got lucky with our one young lady who works out of Mexico. She's very good and not afraid to try anything new.
Yeah.
So she's very trainable. The second time we tried to pick somebody up, that person wasn't trainable. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was I don't know what his problem was, but we gave him the ultimatum and he chose to leave on his own, which is fine. But but working from home, it takes a certain kind of person. You
Yeah,
have to
it's a different set of skills in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And
and
for
yeah,
some
It is.
people, some
exactly.
people work
I
very
did
well
it.
that
I
way.
did it for 15 years. I
Yeah,
And
know.
some people do
It's,
very well that way, and some people do not do well in that environment,
Like for
regardless of what they know.
example, you work from home, occasionally, yeah, you might need to hop on a call at 10 o'clock at night. That's just the
Yep.
way it is. When you're in an office,
But that's the
you're
perk of
out of the
working at
office, you're
home.
out of the office. Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
So I
well,
mean,
there's that's also the perk of the responsibility of being on call too.
True.
They pull you
Yeah.
whenever they need you.
mhm.
Yep.
Here's the bottom line, and we're going to move on after I say this. Companies have to justify the expense of holding the real estate that they've got. It's either that or they send everybody home and everybody works from where they are. I know that there are some companies that are struggling with this. Amazon is one of them.
Yep.
Mhm.
Eh, get over it and stop whining, kids. You're an adult. It's time to start adulting.
Yep.
And there
Yep.
you go.
Pretty much.
Anyway,
Yep. I mean,
Um,
if
There
I
we
had
go.
a job at Amazon and they wanted me to come into the office, which we do have Amazon offices here, I'd go.
mhm.
It's like,
But
that's a
it is,
good
it is,
job.
it is what it is. But you
Right.
know what else? But you know what
What
else
is?
I find is kind of interesting and kind of cool. The Apple TV is a very interesting kind of device, and they're used to. I mean, there are Roku boxes that are out there, and there
Yes.
were
Roku TVs.
Google sticks, or there's Amazon Fire sticks or whatever, but nothing really that truly competes, at least in my opinion, with a real with an Apple TV, right? And apparently someone has finally made a real Apple TV competitor. Larry, what's going on with this?
okay, here you can't see this on radio. I mean on audio only, but I'm holding up my hand. I was standing in line.
Uh-huh.
Apple launched Apple TV, the device, and I was one of the first ones to get one. I've had a new one every time they come out with it. I love
Mhm.
it. I love it. I love it.
Sure.
But Google's new TV streamer, I think, is a killer device. Not that it's going to kill Apple TV, but it
Oh,
is
no.
it's
Roku.
one of the
No.
best devices that they have ever made
If
in this space since they first invented the Chromecast. Period. But when
I'm
you-
going to be really honest here, and I'll agree with you. I'm actually semi-interested in this, but I have Roku TVs.
Right.
But
Well, you're kind of stuck with what you got, but
not necessarily, because I can always
no,
plug in
no.
anything else into
Oh,
it.
you can make it a TV, sure, just make
Right.
it a TV. But
But
Right.
when you pit this new TV streamer against an Apple TV, here are my thoughts as an Apple fanboy, just short and sweet.
mhm.
The
Mhm.
form factor of Google's TV streamer, better. The remote, way better. I mean, blows it away. Hell, the entire physical device is better, but it has one problem.
What's
It
that?
doesn't have the Apple TV user interface. Google still doesn't get UIs, in my humble opinion. They
Well,
just don't.
let me
They-
add
they-
one more thing to that, Larry.
They're
If
so into this material. I mean, go ahead.
it may be a great streamer, but it doesn't run apps the way the Apple TV runs.
Right,
So you
right,
can't
and
do any of the other
And that
things.
was where
But
I'm going
the
with that
real
next.
important
Oh, I'm
thing
sorry.
here, though,
That's
but
all
the
right.
real
No, you're
important
fine.
thing here, but the real important thing here isn't so much, okay, Apple TV has what a lot of the streaming things, the only streaming things you don't get by going with
Streamer's got a
another
lot.
box.
It's got a
with-
lot with it, though.
But the only thing you don't really get when you switch to another box, you may not have all the things for Apple TV
True.
Plus. All right, it depends. Like
Or
I think
your
I've got
or
it
your
on my
Apple TV
Roku.
private or your Apple TV private account.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
stuff you bought.
But if you don't have any library in Apple, you don't care.
This is true. If you're all in with Google and you watch YouTube TV, YouTube itself, and you're more into those things, and you do nothing but the basic Netflix, Hulu, blah blah blah, this has got those on it. You're no problem.
Right,
No
but you're not going to
problems.
be able to pull the AMC Plus app or the Hulu Plus app or the Disney Plus app or whatever.
If you
Like, I
want
mean,
them, no, you're not. I don't
I
like
can
them.
watch Hulu on my Roku. I can watch Hulu
on your
anything.
Roku,
you
but not
that's not-
necessarily on the
I
Google.
think the Hulu you
Well,
can, I think.
The
I'm
other
pretty
thing
sure
this
I saw
does,
it.
the Apple TV supports things like FaceTime,
Oh yeah.
and Google doesn't. So if you're
Right.
just looking for a streamer, I would agree with a lot of what you're saying.
And
If you
it's
want
not
something that's more than a
expensive.
streamer, it's not there.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
Right.
Right.
And here's as of February 2023, and this is according to Google, Roku had the largest market share for
Yeah.
these devices in North America, with 50% of people having a device that can run Roku. Okay.
Mhm.
Apple only has 5%.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
Roku's without a doubt the biggest.
yes, and I love my Roku TVs. I have Chromcasts. I barely use them because I get a lot of the same functionality with Roku. I can do the same thing. I can stream my phone to
Mhm.
it, you know.
Joe, let
Um,
me ask you a question. Do you
yeah.
have, I mean, an honest question, do you have an Apple TV device in your house?
I do not.
Here's the deal
Yeah.
that I think what you would agree with this if you saw them side by side. I
Mhm.
have a Roku TV in a spare bedroom for guests. Everything else in our house is Apple TV. The user interface is so butter smooth, perfect. I mean, just perfect.
You're talking to
When
a
I
guy
go
that
to
doesn't
my
have a problem
Roku,
with the Roku, though. I have no
Roku is
problem with
just
it.
klutzy. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's klutzy. It's just
I mean, I
have to
don't
say,
disagree, but to me,
I had a Roku device too, and everything. You're right, Joel. Everything is there, but I have
Yep.
to say the interface was not ideal. It is a little clumsy.
I don't buy a TV streaming box for the interface. I buy it to stream
Oh,
the
see, I do
things.
because I have to live with it.
See,
Right, me
yes.
too.
See, and the
Well,
interface is important to me as well because I want it to be easy to use, so I
But
can
for a
get
lot
to
of
where I
people,
want to
this
go
is
and watch what I want to watch.
Well, I
my
want it to
wife
be
can
easy to use.
understand a Roku, though. I mean, that's the thing, and that's the most challenging person we have in my house.
Yeah.
For a lot
Yeah.
of people, this is a great device. That's all
It
I'm
really
saying.
is. I would agree with you. For a lot of people,
Right.
it is good. It is good device, and they
Right.
finally kind of caught up in some areas, but in other
Yep.
areas, they're still
Yeah,
kind of.
I know.
It's all
They're
what
just
you
there.
like. It's, you know, if
Yep.
I have no problem with the Roku interface. I have no problem with any interface because I'm an IT professional.
Well,
I use a lot of different. I use a
unfortunately,
lot of
yes, but
different
unfortunately, there are
interfaces,
too many
right.
people out there that are not.
Right.
All right.
True.
So the simpler the interface, the better the interface. I think the better off the
And I'm
device
gonna be
has in being
honest.
accepted as a industry leader. But that's just me.
Yeah,
And
I like their interfaces in my iPad and my iPhone. It's fine too. I actually don't care for CarPlay that much, but you know, whatever. You know, that's my personal
Yes.
preferences. So
yeah, and very true, very true. And speaking of AI, generated material, you guys remember the last show, right? Was 2 weeks ago. We took last week off. But you remember 2 weeks ago, I had a pick about a song generator, right?
Right.
And I have been going to town. I have been really enjoying that app, and I'm really enjoying the stuff that it's generated, because some of it's actually pretty good. Some of it's really stupid. Some of it's very incomplete, but the stuff that it gets right, it's very good. Did you know? So there is a guy out there, there's an AI artist who is generating just tons and tons of very good AI generated art. And the US Copyright Office is saying, you can't, I'm sorry, sir, but you just can't copyright anything that's generated because it lacks human creation. It lacks anything that is, or enough interaction with a human to indicate that the human had any direction or any reasonable direction or control over the generation of the artifact. Now he's saying, hey, the prompt engineering or whatever it is that I'm putting in here and doing my things, and I'm getting what I want out of it. So it's like I'm creating, and the copyright office.
But it's based on other people's work, so it's technically derivative. Yeah,
Well,
that's why they won't allow it.
True. They won't. So here's
but in this article says a controversial artist is reporting losing millions of dollars because they how do we know that he's actually losing that money, or
We
that
don't.
he would actually be
Well,
given money for that stuff?
We call
says-
those speculative earnings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you.
That's
yeah,
bullshit.
it's like that unrealized capital gains that never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the thing though that I want to make certain here that everybody knows and understands, if you're using at this time, all right, if you get AI to generate something and you use it as a platform or as a foundation to start your work, that's fine. If there's enough change based on it, you may be able to copyright it. All right. It's all going to depend on the tools though that the Copyright Office uses to check for AI derivative based work. Anything that you create with any AI tool at this time, you cannot copyright. The one thing that you can copyright with AI generated art is the overall collection. In other words, for the songs that I'm working on, if I have a collection of 5 songs, I can copyright the collection of songs, but each individual song can be pulled for free. They can be used for free without royalty. I don't care who generated it or how they generated it. Individually, they can be used
Let
any
me
way
add to
anybody
that.
wants.
You can, if they put your collection in a different order, that's considered a different collection. So you have
Thank
to be
you.
very careful about that. It's not really the collection. It's the mechanism of how you collect it, or the way in which you collected it. It's only it's the metadata, if you will. It's not the actual content.
The long and the short of it, though, at this time, you really can't copyright anything that's generated via
Right.
AI.
Not that's generated by Yep.
All right.
I would agree.
So don't even try to go there. Don't come out of your AI song generator as an example with this thing. Oh my God, I'm going to copyright this song, take it to BMI and make $1 bajillion.
Yeah,
No,
not
you're
gonna
not.
happen.
Not
No,
going to
you're
happen. Not going to happen at all. Enjoy the songs, enjoy the music. All right. Have a good time. All
And
right.
I did. I thought they were great.
Now, some of these are amazing. Some of these are hit songs. All right. At least in my opinion. But oh well, you know. and that's the name of that tune. But I'm ching. Anyway, we're gonna go into our Windows segment next. But before we get there, we are. All right, but we're gonna do it right after this brief message. 100 episodes. The iTechGear Weekly has more than 100 episodes. We've been doing this, oh my goodness, for almost 4 years. And to be very honest, the iTechGear Weekly needs your help. We need your subscriptions. We need your donations. Anything at any time would be very much appreciated. We need your help. I will tell you that I am about $3,000 a year in on site maintenance as well as show maintenance. And while we're not really going to stop, we really do need your help. Any kind of donation that you can go ahead and provide to us, either through a Patreon subscription or directly to the site via my personal PayPal, Chris at iTechGear.org, would be greatly appreciated. You can subscribe to a monthly newsletter for just a small amount every month at www.patreon.com/iTechGear. If you do that, you get a summary of all of the shows. You get a summary of all of the articles that we post with direct links to everything that happens on the site. Boy, we've had a great time over the last 3 years and change, providing everyone with the steps and procedures needed to make technology all that much easier to understand and use. Boy, again, we could use your help in making it easier to provide those wonderful things that we do, that voodoo that we do so well, to you on a daily and weekly basis. So please, if you have the time, smash that subscribe button on the podcast. If you have the time and you have the inkling, go to our Patreon site, www.patreon.com/iTechGear. Subscribe to our newsletter. Provide us with a small donation. One time, monthly, doesn't matter. We'll go ahead and continue to provide you with that knowledge and insight that all four of us have every week. I want to say thank you to you, even if you don't donate, even if you don't subscribe. I still want to thank you for the opportunity to come to you every week, because we sure do have a great time doing the show. So from all of us here at the iTechGear Weekly and from iTechGear.org, we thank you, we love you, and we'll see you soon. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 108. I'm doing the thing.
Doing the thing.
All right. Yeah, well, I am doing the thing. We are
You
doing.
are.
It's a thing that we're all doing,
And we're doing it.
and we no, it's
Okay.
at least it's consensual anyway. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get us into our Windows segment now.
Oh,
Thank you.
dear.
I know. I'll stand in the corner
Mhm.
later. And the Copilot Plus PCs.
Ah.
You know, they're here, right? They're here. All right. Does anybody really care, Larry? Is it?
Well, for me, this is a mixed bag. I'm very sure some of you, I mean, right on the show, will have different opinions. But for me,
Yep.
this is very much, as we were talking in the pre-show, very much part of Microsoft marketing. If you've ever worked with Microsoft, for Microsoft, been a contractor, or spent a lot of months inside their buildings, I have. You know that they are very much driven by the next big thing, but they never know what the hell that next thing is. So, Chris, you mentioned something earlier, that one of the ways that Copilots could help us in a very quiet way would be what? Tell
Well,
me.
my thinking is so the problem that we're seeing, and I think the article that we're referring to in this particular segment actually goes on to say that people are buying PCs, but they're not buying PCs because of AI. And so this whole Copilot PC notion is one that people aren't really buying into.
Well, it's
they don't care.
The
They want
Copilot Plus PC is the latest Windows PC that's out there, so that's probably what they're going to go and chase
so it's
at,
about
right?
it's about replacing your previous
This
PC.
is
It's
what I'm
not
saying.
about
Yes.
it's not about getting AI. It's
You
not about
buy it
any of that.
anyway, right? You
Now,
would.
having said that, there's a couple of thoughts. One, my thought was, and what I was saying earlier, Larry, to kind of get back to what you just referred to, is that look, AI as AI is never going to sell. It's just not. People just don't care. They don't understand. They don't want to understand. It doesn't mean anything to them. It's a meaningless, useless. It's like the high fidelity used to be. It's a meaningless marketing phrase. It has no value whatsoever. So
Wait,
what?
my hi-fi set doesn't have any value?
Nope. Sorry, no
Not a
value.
bit.
Not in that term. But having said all that, what will have value is the little things that we do every day. Gee, the way I can edit a photo on a Google Pixel, the way I can, just do these little things. Some of the math, the ability to write and do the math on the iPad now. All these, and the way it cleans up your handwriting as you write on your notes. And those little things, those are the things that are going to sell AI. Not AI per se. It's going to be these little things incorporated into the daily things that we want to do that'll sell AI. And so what's going to happen when I said this a couple of years ago on this show, as a matter of fact, I made the comment that, look, AI isn't going to sell as AI. What's going to happen is one day we're just going to realize we're using a bunch of crap with AI in it. We're all of a sudden
Right.
just going to realize that it kind of snuck in the back door.
Right. It's
It's
not
not
about the
about-
AI. It's about
Right.
the new PC. It's about the new features in the PC. It's not about the AI that's
It's
there.
going to be about the little features. That's what it's going to be
Mhm.
about, and that's what's going to get it there. So you can, to say that, gee, Copilot PCs aren't impressing anybody. What do you mean by that? Do you mean, I think it's misleading to say that, and that this article says that, and I think that's misleading because again, people don't care about the AI, but the PC itself they care about, because let's face it, on top of the AI features, the Copilot PCs are far more efficient than their predecessors. They run longer on battery and things like that. Those are the kinds of things people will care about.
You know what else does that
you know.
same thing? MacBooks.
And MacBooks, and for the same reason too, by the way.
Yes.
For the
correct.
same
For the
exact
same
reason.
for the exact same reason.
So this
So-
is why, but this is why people. That's what people are going to care about. Gee, now I can get 20 hours on my PC instead of 16 hours or whatever it is. They're going to care about that. They're not going to care about the AI. The AI
That's if
doesn't-
you actually
doesn't mean
unplug
anything.
it from the wall, which
If you
my
unplug it
wife
from the
never
wall.
does.
Well, again, I was just on a long series of trips here, and I used the thing a lot in transit, and it was nice having a Copilot PC in the sense that it ran a long time. It ran a really long time. So there you go. So that's
Awesome.
kind of where I'm going with that. Is that it's not about that. It's not about the AI. Nobody cares.
No.
They just don't.
Right now-
I think they might lose sales if they keep pushing Copilot as hard as they are.
I think you may be right there. I wouldn't disagree.
I know.
with that notion.
I would agree. The
I
biggest
agree.
problem that we have with AI is that the I part isn't
Yeah.
there. The
That's
A
right.
It really isn't.
the A is all in, right? It's
The A is all in.
It's all artificial, but it's not intelligent. All right.
No,
It's not intelligent. It's not aware of itself. It's not cognizant.
it's
It can't
artificial
create.
mimicry is what it is
Yes.
at this point.
Yes. All right. It's very iterative. It's very derivative.
It's doing some math on data that it finds, and that's what it's
Right.
doing today.
Right.
Okay.
I just
So-
thought of something that
What's
goes
that?
back to what you said, Chris. Just think about this and right down to its simplest form. When you decide to go through your favorite biscuit place in the morning
Mhm,
because you really like that biscuit,
mhm.
do you give a crap who made the biscuit or how it was made? No. It's the fact that the biscuit's good and it works for you. Kind of the same thing.
Sure.
True
it's not
enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
think you're onto
anybody
something there.
patronizes a specific place because they like what it does or how it tastes or what they get for the value of their dollar, right? That's
AI makes
why
my
they
life
go.
better. I'm happy. I don't care why. I just want to be happy.
I want the
This is
thing,
basic
and that's it.
business behavior 101, kids. This
Isn't
is
it?
not
Isn't
anything
it?
new.
No,
It's nothing new here.
right. No.
Mhm.
You know what is new though?
What is new?
Apparently, Microsoft has announced some sweeping changes to one of our most favorite programs ever, Windows
so they're
Recall.
still trying to push this claptrap.
Well,
yeah, they are.
I don't know if I would call it claptrap. I would call it a piece of shit, but I don't know that I would call it claptrap.
Yeah, well, see, I was trying
know?
to be clean.
Well, I
because
know,
this
but
is a
still.
family show.
So
All right,
Chris,
so-
Get out
Chris,
the eraser.
So Chris, what have they done to
All right, so here are
freshen
the
up the
highlights.
pig?
Here are the
How-
highlights
do
of what's
what
going.
lipstick did they put on this pig?
A very, very fabulous mauve. All right.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So instead of working on Windows 11, all right, in general, Windows Recall is only going to work on Copilot Plus PCs running Windows 11. All right. So it's Copilot Plus PCs only. All right. And then you have to opt into. You got to run the program and agree to run the program and let it do its thing.
Okay, so now it's not opt out, it's opt in. Okay.
Right. Which is what it should have been in the first place.
Which
should
was
be
what
an
it should have been.
opt-out.
That's
Should
at
be-
minimum. That's
Yeah,
at
at a
minimum.
minimum.
That's what it should have been.
Well, yeah. All right.
Okay.
They've got some new privacy settings. There's an icon in the system tree that will notify users each time a snapshot is saved, etc. All right. Some types of content will never be saved. Any browsing done in a private session, for example, all right, in either Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and Opera, is going to be blocked. And you can filter out specific apps and websites as well. All right.
Okay.
It's going to filter out sensitive information such as password, credit card numbers, national ID numbers, and the library that powers this particular feature of, of filtering out the
Okay.
sensitive information, is the same one used by enterprises that subscribe to Microsoft's Purview information protection product. All right. So,
Okay, that's an
so
interesting approach.
it is. It is. Their security architecture leverages core Windows features. All right. The biggest concern was that the initial at the initial announcement of recall was that it offered a prime target for attackers. Right. I mean,
Yeah,
it was the bullseye on the back of your PC.
it
All right.
was.
And included potential vectors that were both local as well as remote, from like malware or remote access stuff, right?
Sure.
So now they're going to use the core security features built into Windows to help prevent some of that. All right.
I really am interested in specifics on this, and it sounds like they're not really offering the specifics yet. But what things does it automatically block? What things does this list automatically exclude?
Well,
That kind of thing. I'd like to see some of that in
Well,
detail.
all right. So some of it, all right, they're requiring biometric authentication to the user's account. And additional operations are tied to the account using Windows Hello enhanced sign-in security identity, which basically means that there has to be a registered face or a fingerprint, all right, or at the very, very least a PIN number, but because that's Windows Hello, that's the Windows Hello architecture. It's either
Right.
face, finger, or PIN, right?
Yep.
However, a pin can be lifted. All right.
Yeah, it can.
A fingerprint is hard to duplicate, if not impossible, unless you lift it and do something weird with it afterwards. And then it's very difficult to truly copy a face. All right. Then the data is encrypted. All right. And then decrypting that also requires biometric authentication, etc.
Yeah.
So, all right, so it is locking it down, but
I haven't heard any layers about how how's IT management going to deal with this? What are the tools they're going to have?
Really, that they don't cover how the enterprise
that's
will
going to be
or
important.
will not enable this, and what control the enterprise will have over what it does.
Yeah.
And that's, again, for regulated industries or industries that have a
you got
a high
HIPAA or
security
PCI
vector
or
that they
whatever.
want to go ahead and protect, right? Whether you're fintech or medical devices, health insurance, any kind of healthcare, pharmacy, whatever, you are still, based on what I'm reading here, there's no way that you're ever going to run this in any kind of a regulated setting.
Yeah, I just can't see it.
High security, top secret, whatever's not going to happen in government, not going to happen in a lot of regulated industry. Just won't.
No.
All right.
No, I don't see how it could. They can't manage it.
They do have recall security reviews.
Yeah.
All right, where the company has conducted multiple reviews of the new security architecture, and they are using it's been tested by Red Team, by the Microsoft Offensive Research and Security Engineering Team, or MORS. It says that they've done a responsible AI impact assessment covering risk, harms, and mitigations across 6 RAI, or again, responsible AI impact assessments. Principles: fairness, reliability, and safety; privacy and security; inclusion, transparency, and accountability. Is this going to be enough, though?
I don't know. That doesn't sound like it to me.
That that Ed Bott, who wrote this particular article that we're citing, really kind of goes over: is this going to be enough to, at least initially, for those organizations that are not regulated and don't necessarily have something that is hugely critical to protect. Is it
Yeah.
going to make a difference? Is it going to draw people into using this particular feature?
Well, my
I
other
still would say
question
no.
relating to that, my question relating to that is going to be, or is this going to be a feature where they try to force you into the way they try to force you into the backup and force you into OneDrive and force you into some
See,
other
I
things?
think that's where this is
That's
going.
my concern.
I think that's where this is going to end up going, right?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get you to use their new AI core features. They're trying to
Right.
get you to use their new features for their AI enabled apps or
And use their
services.
cloud storage and to use anything that
Right.
can
This
potentially
is
be
what I'm saying,
monetized
right?
down the road. I
I
get
was
it.
kind of glad to see Ed expose this a little bit because I've always felt like that. If you use even Microsoft 365 on a Mac, every time you
Right.
turn around, you have to work to save something on your Mac. They want you to use OneDrive. They just
Yeah,
make
it's the
it so
same on
hard to
PC
do.
too. I
Yeah.
mean, it shouldn't be so difficult to just uh use the drive you paid for and not
Right.
upload crap
Here,
to
I
the
agree
card.
100% with you, Joel. If I want to go buy Cloud ABC and use that, Microsoft 365 should let me back up there, period.
But
But
that
they
kind of
don't.
but that, you know what? That actually leads us into our next conversation about OneDrive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
it's all part of the
certainly.
same. It's all part of the
Well,
same
it is,
problem,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When you get right down to it, it's all about how Microsoft is monetizing these things, and
Yep. Because
and
it's just, you can't what a lot of these people have not figured out is you can't force people to use technology, whether you want
No.
them to or not. Great
You
example.
may not even be able to lead that horse to the water hole.
Right. Right. Like a big example of this is I am a member of Sam's Club. Okay. Sam's Club they're not issuing physical cards anymore. You have to use the app. Well, what if you don't have a phone that does apps?
yeah,
They don't really think about that,
you
and
that
switch
would
to
be
Costco, it
that
still
would be
uses the card.
those folks
now
that
what
are,
I will say if you push hard enough, you can get one, okay? But there are advantages to using the app. Like, for example, Scan and Go. I scan the stuff as I put it in the cart. I pay on my phone. I walk out the door. It's that simple.
But,
and that's
but,
most Amazon Fresh stores.
Yeah,
but
I
when I
mean,
walk into Sam's Club, the only way you can use that is you have a good internet connection. Otherwise, you
yep,
won't
and they
work.
have Wi-Fi in their
Then you're
stores.
subjected to a freaking Starbucks Wi-Fi too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, similar to it, Sam's Club has their
But
own.
see,
My Sam's Club has their own. My phone actually
but
works
you're
on
not
the
But I'll be
logging
honest,
internet.
into it's public. It's just public.
yeah. Well,
Right.
and don't even get me started on
I
logging
don't
into
do
somebody's
public
public
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Yeah,
I don't
Right,
exactly.
do
right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
so the next article is about OneDrive messing with your files, how to get your Windows storage under
Yep.
control.
Yeah.
Right.
When you set up a PC, when you first set it up, it's so easy to breeze past these menus. But one of the menus here has a thing that says backup now, which is the big button on the thing, and that's the one everyone's going to click. All right.
They
So
want
if you
you
click
to.
that, it's going to change all those files of file folders we're normally used to seeing, my documents, my pictures, blah, blah, blah. There are now all OneDrive folders and will automatically be backed up to OneDrive. There's many issues with this. For example, what if you only have so much, you say you have a plan that doesn't have 1 terabyte storage, or you have more than 1 terabyte of files that you want to put in that folder, you're going to run out of storage pretty quickly on your OneDrive,
Right.
and you may not want to put those files in your
Yeah.
OneDrive either. Like, for example, if I put all the pictures that I have terabytes and terabytes of pictures, I'd fill my OneDrive up just like that. So I only upload the ones I need to share. So, and I have that
Yep.
backup feature turned off. But
this is what I'm saying. Their backup feature was not designed to allow you to back up the way you wanted to back. I said this
exactly.
weeks and weeks and weeks ago too.
Yes.
It's designed to force you to use OneDrive.
Yep.
And
Yep.
And it forced you to use their file structures too.
Well, and everything.
Yeah.
It's all but it's all about monetizing this stuff
Right.
and saying, oh, you need more storage. Don't you understand, Joel? You need more storage. You have all these pictures. You want and one of the first things you need to do is go into that backup process and turn all that crap off until you figure out what you want. You know, if anything.
Because otherwise
just
it's
turn it off.
You know, and honestly, I think this has everything to do with the way that OneDrive works. But I lose things on my work PC all the freaking time because I want to store them in one place. It wants to store it in another.
But that may not be OneDrive per se. That might be
I
your
understand
corporate
that, but
group
I think
policy.
this one
I've run into that. I've run into that.
I am aware of that. I think this is really OneDrive for business that's causing the issues.
But it's because corporate has chosen to implement that policy to force your files to their location.
Dropbox tried this. They tried to force you. It's just like, click the big button, store everything, move your pictures from your computer to Dropbox. It never worked for them.
No, it doesn't work. And again, my first thing, I mean, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there and articles out there that will tell you these are the things you turn off on a new Windows 11 PC, kids.
Right.
This is the crap that you disable. And this is among those highest list stuff is this backup nonsense and the OneDrive nonsense. I remember when the OneDrive app, its only purpose was to leave a drive mount that you could use to copy things to and from. Now it's this garbagey auto syncing BS, moving things wherever it wants. It's become a piece of crap and it shouldn't be there. It should just be gone. Or it should be opt-in. Hello.
I'll give Apple credit. They only turn on desktop and documents if you want it turned on. It doesn't come by default.
It doesn't automatically turn on. Yeah,
they don't even try and get you to do it. You got to search for it.
Yep, it's very different, and it's that is one of the differences in using an Apple or even a Linux product as opposed to using Microsoft. Almost everything has to be opt-in if you want it. It's not automatically opt-in. There's a couple things that's different, and we've talked about that before. But for the most part, Microsoft seems to force you down opt-in. They
know better than you, Chris.
They know better than you.
Just like Apple.
Well, no, it's not just
like
Apple.
Apple doesn't do that, Joel, at all. Zero. Sorry.
Well, but they do. There are things that Apple.
Show me one.
I can show you lots of them. Like, for example, I just bought a pair of AirPods Pro. I only want to use it with my iPad. I don't want to use it with my Mac. I don't want to use it with my iPhone. But what happens when I get a call?
Forget it. Go on that device and forget it. It won't ever show up again.
No, it hasn't worked that way for me.
Yeah. It has for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have one pair of M3 or the AirPods 3 that I only want to use on one device.
Yeah, they're the only Bluetooth headphones that literally, it makes it sound easy, and it is. It is easy to sync it with all your Apple devices. It seems like a logical choice that you should have. All right, but it is the automatic choice. And that's my problem with it. It is the automatic choice, just like what Microsoft is doing here.
No, actually, it's not. But Microsoft takes it one step further. They really do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm certain they do. But I mean, everyone has stuff like this. Even Ubuntu will say, "Hey, do you want to sign up for Ubuntu One, or do you want to sign up, put your Google stuff in there?" But. Yeah. If you don't want to on those, it's actually fairly easy to say, "Yeah, no thanks, I'm good."
It's interesting because even Google does this relating. I'll reference to it with YouTube. They force you to be logged into YouTube unless you're on an Apple device, in which case they don't force you. But if you're on anything other than an Apple device, they force you to be logged in. You have to manually say go incognito or go off. And it only lasts a little while, and then they react, and then they reconnect you.
Right. Right, and it all depends on what you want. In my case, that's what I want because I'm fully in the Google ecosystem, and I don't mind that, But it is, it's everyone does it. Everyone does it. There's always something that each product's gonna do that you don't like.
But I don't think that means we shouldn't bring it up that we're unhappy about it. I think we have every right to bring it up and say we're not happy with this. Stop doing it.
Yep. Well,
That's what we're here for, guys.
Yep.
I agree.
I'm going to go
That's it.
ahead. I'm going to move us forward and move us to our tip of the week segment.
Ah,
All right. Want to remind everybody that, hey, iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easier for everybody. And this team is really dedicated themselves to that specific purpose. So every week we're going to have a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. And if you have questions, requests, suggestions, those can be sent to tips@itechgear.org. This is a repeated tip, and I want to go ahead and I want to go over this one again simply because it's so freaking important. We talked, I believe it was last time, and we talked about not that.
okay.
We talked about using strong passwords, right?
Right.
Another thing that you can do to help protect yourself, because I don't know if this has happened to anybody lately, but I have gotten, where folks have tried to request to reset a password for my Microsoft account or for my Apple account. And simply because I had two-factor authentication enabled on both of those accounts. One uses Apple specific, the Apple process uses Apple specific multi-factor authentication. And the other uses Microsoft Authenticator. All right. But using two-factor authentication, which is at its very simplest, hey, you've got a phone number registered or an email address registered. They send a message to one or both of those things with a special code. And then they flip you, after you've entered in your username and your ID, they flip you to this new screen that's got a verification field on it. You're supposed to enter that code that they sent you. And once you do that, it recognizes that this is in fact you because you have the device or the email account that is registered with the service that you're using or the website that you're using, and then they let you in. All right. It is another way of proving that you are, or the person that is trying to log in actually does have access and is allowed to log into that account. So again, you've got a phone number registered, they can send you a text message, or if you've got like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator that spins a specific security code, or if it throws up a dialog box on your machine that says, please type the code or the please select this number in your Authenticator app. And they show you a number, a 2-digit number, and then they give you a display or a dialog box on your phone or on your Authenticator app, and you tap the matching number on the screen, and away it goes. So enabling multi-factor or at least two-factor authentication is going to give you another layer of security that allows you to prove that you are the person that this website thinks should be allowed access to your accounts. All right. Very important. So if you have the ability to enable two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, I would recommend that you do so.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
And that is our tip of the week. Going to move us to our pick of the week. And before we get there, I want to take a moment to remind everybody, because it's been a couple of weeks, that our show picks are typically hardware, software, or other items of interest that we have individually purchased and actually used, and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These aren't paid advertisements or items that we have any kind of an affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy at iTechGear.org specifically states that we have to disclose that up front. These are just things that we sincerely believe in, and we want to share with you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we
Because we
like
like
you.
you.
Thank you. You guys are right on it. All right, Larry.
We got to work on the timing of that thing.
Because you
Yeah,
guys,
we were off. We
I
were off
point at
on
you
that
and
one.
everything, and you guys still can't get it. Anyway, anyway. So Larry, you got the pick this week. What do we got?
I do, and even though it's a technology-related device, it might seem like a little bit of an odd show pick, but I'll tell you why. It's the Rainbird Wi-Fi module for your irrigation controller. And I didn't realize this, but 25% of the homes in the northern United States have an irrigation system. 35% of the homes in the south have an irrigation system. So it's really kind of it's something a lot of people have. The most popular brand of irrigation controller on the market is a Rainbird. But even if you have a competing brand, it will have its own version of the little device that simply plugs into your controller and lets you run your entire irrigation system from your phone. Now, I didn't think this was a big deal. I've always had an irrigation system almost in every house I ever had. One was in the garage, most of them are outside the garage, whatever. You're going to get wet working on it. What sucks about maintaining an irrigation system is you're downtown with your bride on Friday evening, it's pouring rain, and your
your
irrigation
sprinklers are
system,
going.
right? They're running, wasting water. Well, if you want to turn a zone off here or there, just make a tweak to that controller. It's so much easier to do it from an app. That's where this little $99 wonder is a great investment. It plugs into your irrigation controller, easily pairs with your Wi-Fi, and since I have added this, I have not had to open the door of my controller once. I do everything right on the Rainbird app, which actually has a great rating in the iOS store. A lot of times, some of these little hardware apps that come with products are, they're less than great, put it that way. But this gets good ratings, and you can get it in the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store. It's just a little handy gizmo that'll make your life easier, and that's what we're all about, helping you make your life easier through technology. That's it, buddy.
There you go. And that's interesting. I don't have a sprinkler system in my yard, but if I did, I'd be looking at this pretty. Anything that I can control from my phone or my wife can control it from the phone. Will really be greatly appreciated. Before we go ahead and close the show, I just want to remind everybody, or at least announce, that I have been asked to speak at the Testing Mind Testing Automation Conference in Chicago on October 24th downtown. You can go to testingmind.com and see the details of the different cities that they are holding the conferences in. If AI in test automation is something that you are interested in, please come down to the show. This year's show is all about incorporating AI into testing. My particular thought is, it's really all nice, lovely, wonderful, and good. But there ain't, as I said earlier in the show, there ain't a lot of I in the AI. All right. The intelligence is still out there. And in a regulated industry, they usually wait a while. So what do you do while everybody else around you is doing everything with AI and you want to get it in your organization? How do I do that while still keeping the lights on, still keeping everything going while I'm trying to get AI in? I have the solution. It's in my presentation, and I'll be speaking directly to that at the Testing Mind Test Automation Conference in Chicago on October 24th.
I'll run right down and get my airplane ticket right now.
Thank you, sir. Anyway, this has been the iTechGear Weekly, show number 108. I'm doing the thing. Recorded live Sunday, October 6th, 2024, live from iTechGear Central for Mr. Chris Gavula, Brother Joe McLaughlin, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. I'm Christopher Spera, and we'll see you soon.